There's carnivores. Animals get killed. We're animals and we're at the top of the food chain. Hot dog tastes good.
Hot dog tastes good.
I don't think it's right or humane or sustainable. So now I don't have the excuse of ignorance. You might be making a vegan out of me, Justin. You might be making a vegan today, Justin.
It's okay for me to walk up to someone and scam them out of $100 just because I like money and it's more convenient than working.
No, I don't think that's okay.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
Okay, good answer. It would be okay if I scammed a child out of that money.
Would it be okay?
Yeah, would that be
No.
Would it be better because I'm sort of smarter and more powerful than that child?
No, definitely not. I mean, there's still a person that's of worth, and that's their money just the same. That if you own that money, that'd be your money. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the age matters.
Okay.
Or the age dynamic.
Okay.
Power dynamic.
It would be okay to scam them if I had no money and I was going to die of starvation.
Yeah, I think that would justify it because I think that you need that money more than them, and maybe it's worth taking that measure to ensure that you don't die or ill things don't befall you. But I think it'd be better off to ask for that money before stealing it. So I think that's not good, but it's more justified if that's your question. I think it's more justified.
Yeah.
But still not a great thing to do.
Yeah. So if I can kind of summarize, it's like the first two are not justified at all.
Right.
The second one is justified, but were you in that situation, you'd probably try to seek out other avenues first.
Absolutely.
Before resorting to the more exploitative.
But if it's a life or death situation, like you kind of framed it, then if that's the only choice, then I guess so.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I just want you to imagine those same scenarios, but instead of scamming them, I physically assault the person. So I physically assault an adult, I physically assault a child. Do your answers change to any of those? Is it okay because it's okay to physically assault them in those cases? So
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's okay to assault anyone, regardless of age or anything like that.
So then to sort of summarize, right, exploiting someone just because I want money or because it's convenient, or harming someone just because I want money or it's convenient, those are not justified for those reasons, basically.
No, I would agree with that.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Okay, so that's the first set of questions. Now we're going to get into another set. Are you feeling good so far?
Feeling good so far.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So do you eat animals or animal products? Chigs,
I do.
chickens?
Chickens.
Yes.
Do you eat like fish, eggs, dairy, all that stuff?
Yeah, I eat about everything there is.
Okay.
Everything there is to eat. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no restrictions. Got it.
No restrictions.
Do you think that, there's any exploitation or physical harm that comes to those individuals in the process of farming and slaughterhouses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're, treated terribly. Pretty much any animal. I mean, if they're not being raised on a farm in a free range or natural environment, and then treated humanely, whatever that means. But treated humanely, I think that there's a ton of exploitation.
What does that mean, actually, humanely?
Humanely, I think that means that you recognize that animal is sentient, and while maybe they are less powerful than you, that their life is still worth something, and treating them as such and giving them respect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think all those things you said there are good. Maybe I'll just kind of take you through what it would look like for a pig to sort of go through the system real quick. Pigs, generally, they are castrated when they're very young, so their testicles are chopped off, and almost never is painkiller used in those instances. Right.
They also have their tails and teeth cut out, also without painkillers. Do you know why they might do that? Tails and teeth?
Tails and teeth to prevent them from hurting the other ones or damaging the product.
Exactly. Yeah. Right, so to prevent them from biting other pigs because they'll sort of cannibalize each other. And then do you know how most pigs are killed?
Probably electric shock would be my guess.
Yeah, so that's some of them. That's a lot of people either guess electric shock or like a bolt gun, and that is a percentage. But most of them are actually put into gas chambers. Were you aware of that? Have you heard that before?
No, I wasn't aware of that. No.
Yeah. So it's pretty horrible. They basically go into these gas chambers and CO2 is pumped in, forms an aversive mixture that kind of forms acidic compounds with their wet tissue, and basically they sort of suffocate and kind of burn through their throat and eyes until they die.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of like someone described it as getting maced to death,
that's
sort of.
terrible.
What do you think about that? I mean, since it's the first time you're hearing about it, you can just kind of walk through your thoughts with me, just kind of how you're feeling, not maybe a logical thing. But.
Yeah, definitely not something that's exciting to hear in the slightest. And it also, unfortunately, doesn't surprise me because I just know there's a ton of exploitation that goes on in all those industries. So it really honestly doesn't surprise me in the least. I've heard a lot of horror stories with animal treatment and especially I think chickens, and just like researched it some on my own. But yeah, I mean, that's terrible to hear. But unfortunately, when you have a product on the shelf at a low price and in mass quantities, there's being corners cut, and that's coming from the animals that don't have any power to do anything about it, unfortunately.
So what I've kind of described there is like what happens to the vast majority of animals. Most animals come from farms that people would describe as factory farms, sort of. Now, a small percentage will come from, what someone might say is like a smaller farm or something like that. Do those animals on those smaller farms, do they still have to go to the slaughterhouse?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. Do the animals on the smaller farms still have to go to the slaughterhouse?
Yeah, so oftentimes the animals aren't actually slaughtered on the farm. So the farm is one thing, where the animals are raised, and then they're shipped off to a slaughterhouse, typically to be killed.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's one thing a lot of people don't know. You just think that they're sort of slaughtered there.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that or didn't think about that.
Yeah. So oftentimes, regardless of how good the farm is, they still go to the slaughterhouse, and that's really where the horrors, sort of happen.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, the farms are often bad too, but that's sure.
Justin's out here educating people. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know any of it either, man. Like, a lot of this stuff was quite surprising to me. I'd heard it and I was like, okay, this
When did you start researching it or get into it?
Yeah, probably about 2.5 years ago, because I didn't immediately stop eating animal products. I was like, okay, I'm going to research this. I'm going to make sure this is legit. And the more I looked into it, the more I was like, this is ridiculous.
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's just something that, I've grown up, and all the people around me, like family and friends, just, eat meat and everything. It's kind of just something you do. It's not really like a choice. I was like, oh, I'm going to just eat meat. I just was like, oh, it's just what we eat, Yeah. So I think that it's something that does definitely have a lack of thought surrounding it. And it's, it's a good thing to do, to be asking these thought-provoking questions to people, because, I would consider myself to be more educated than your average person on the way the animals are treated and that kind of thing. Like, a lot of it doesn't surprise me, but as you guys can see and you could see, you caught me off guard with a couple of those questions and those things, and that just goes to show how much you really don't know or don't see. I mean, I'm a college student. I consider myself pretty educated in general, and I put time into researching how animals are treated, and I still don't know the majority of what you've asked me. So that definitely calls into question the ethics of eating meat and supporting those businesses and industries after the ethics that you revealed through my questions, and what I think versus the disparity between that and what really what really I'm doing, what really action I'm taking.
Yeah, awesome. That's great, man. Yeah, I think that you said something really important there too, which is that it doesn't even feel like a choice. And that's how I felt too. It's just the default to eat animals in their products, right?
You go there and it's like, oh, let me get some tacos. It's like, all right, chicken or steak. It's just, that's just, all right, which one are you going to do?
Yeah, no one's ever like, do you want lentils or tofu or, they don't
Right. And I think that, and this is another time injecting my opinion into it, but I think that the majority of people eating meat, I wouldn't say that they're bad people. I don't think that people really know or understand or are taught, and I don't think it's really it's obviously a choice, but I don't think it's like a choice that people are making cognizantly and knowing their options.
Yeah, the whole choice aspect is pretty interesting, because a lot of times what you'll hear sometimes is people say, it's a personal choice for me to continue to eat meat. And my question always to them is, personal choices tend to be choices that don't harm other individuals,
Right.
And in this instance, it seems like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah, and in this thing, you've admittedly exposed my apathy and lack of understanding of it. So
yeah, why do you think that? Because it's a good point. Because I also am someone who researches the shit out of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also didn't know about it. Yeah. So why do you think I didn't know? Why do you think you didn't know? Do you have any hypotheses around that?
Yeah, I think it's all right. Give me a brand that you're aware of that's perpetrating these things.
Like
Tyson. Yeah. I think it's bad business for Tyson to have those things be out in the public and known. They're not going to sell to the same degree. Unfortunately, it is a business. It's an industry. It's there for profit, and that's going to take a huge dip if that stuff is at the forefront when you're buying it. So they don't want that exposed. They don't want that known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I think this is a good conversation so far. I guess one thing I would ask you. So you seem open-minded. You seem open to kind of like exploring things. Would you be like willing to watch like a quick 1-minute video? I do it because I think it adds like an extra layer to this that's like that can't be expressed fully with words.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Do you want to hold this for me?
Yeah.
It's a little sweaty because my hand's a little sweaty.
No worries. Guys, Justin's out here doing good things, I think. I was just a random passerby, and now we're watching a video. It's getting me to think when I just eat without thinking. My dad grew up on a farm. My uncle still lives there for the purpose of what he's doing. He does have to like castrate the pigs. So I've seen him like and heard the pigs and like seen them like when they're being castrated. It's not fun to watch, and it was definitely jarring as a kid to like see that. I was like, just explained to me as like, oh, it's just got to happen, and that's just kind of how I accepted it. But I mean, it is something I've experienced to some degree, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. It's actually one of the things I have, which I'll sometimes show people when they say, well, I just buy from local farms. I'll show them local farms actually castrating pigs.
I mean,
it's like,
unfortunately, it's part of the process that if you want to have this end product, you have to take these steps for it to be efficient. And
that's the thing.
unfortunately,
that's what I try to tell people is that like people want like better conditions for animals and like better this and that. And while that's good to a degree, it's like at some point it becomes impossible. Like,
it's absolutely not possible to the amount of people we have to feed. It's not fun to watch in the slightest. It's jarring, but like I said, unfortunately, it's not surprising. Which is sad to say that it's not surprising. Right, and like if this was the picture they put on the bacon pack, you're not buying that.
Exactly. Tell me your thoughts, I guess, about that guy.
Yeah, like I said, it's terrible. They're in a lot of pain, and it's never fun to watch any being be in pain, whether it's like a little bug or like a kid or an adult. Like some of your questions asked, but I can't say that I'm surprised. I mean, you can probably tell from my face, I wasn't like, whoa, no way. I mean, it checks out. Probably tell me anything, and it wouldn't like surprise me, which is unfortunate. And it's unfortunate to admit to you and the camera that while I'm not surprised, I'm still, I mean, arguably not making a conscious choice like I want to eat meat and cause that, but you still are making a choice that's leading to that kind of mistreatment. So
what can you do moving forward to not contribute to that?
That's a great question, and I think it probably honestly has an obvious answer. I think, what's the population of the world right now? 7 billion people?
It's like 7.9 billion.
Okay, so we got 8 billion people. Just thinking logically, it would be one thing if you were like back a long time ago in history and you were a family of, we'll say 4, and you have a couple sheep and like a pig, and like they provide you with like milk, and then when it gets like big, then maybe you like kill it to like make some food to provide for your family. I would say to me that's morally justified. Animals out there in the wild, there's carnivores, they eat, and it's not necessarily comfortable, but the animals get killed, and it's kind of the flow of life. I think that is part of life, and we're animals and we're at the top of the food chain, but I think how separated we are from that, and with the power and knowledge we have, and we're still doing that, and the size that we've grown, like 8 billion people, like you said, it's not a sustainable choice to make at this point, and it's rather sheltered. I don't think there's really a humane way to mass produce meat. I also think that red meat in general, like cows, like it's pretty bad for the environment too. I think it has mostly negative effects that are hugely scaled up now, and it's not something that's at all sustainable.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right or humane or sustainable.
I don't think it's right or humane or sustainable.
Here I am. I just ate hot dogs for lunch. And that's just like, oh, let's go get hot dogs. Okay, I eat a hot dog. Yeah. Didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? And now here I am doing this interview. It's interesting to think about.
So, like at your next meal, would it be possible for you to choose options that weren't animals?
Yeah. Are we talking not meat or like not
eggs or dairy either?
Not eggs or dairy. I'm going to be going to a Durham Bulls game tonight, a baseball game. And so what are the options? Like pizza, hot dogs, hamburgers, barbecue. I mean, I could probably get a salad somewhere. I don't really want a salad, to be honest. I don't think I'm going to eat a funnel cake for dinner. So I guess the most effective option would probably be to eat a pizza, but that just goes to show that in that little like confined environment, there aren't really too many options. And
Could you eat something before or bring something with you?
Absolutely. But I think that's interesting to think about, that there's not even really too many options there.
I don't actually know what a Durham Bulls game, so that one I'm not sure. Downtown Durham, though, there's a ton of stuff.
Absolutely.
There's options all over the place. Yeah.
And there are. I mean, I could I could pack a PB&J. I could do a lot of things like that.
There's vegan pizzas too. There's actually places downtown that do vegan pizza.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's thought provoking. Yeah. You might be making a vegan out of me, Justin. You might be making a vegan today, Justin. You got me thinking about something I wasn't really consciously thinking about. Yeah. That's interesting. I think that's a good effect to be having. But there are choices that I could make tonight that would lead to me not contributing to that exploitation.
Yeah. Let me kind of ask you sort of two sort of like ending questions, I guess.
Sure.
So what do you value more? Sort of taste and convenience, or the life and suffering of an individual?
Well, I think that it would be righteous of me, and I'd love to present myself as someone that cares more about the life and suffering. I think that would be what I'm compelled to say right here on video, but in an effort to be authentic and just based on my choice, I think actions speak louder than what I could say right now. And I think I'd probably be lying if I said that it was the other way around. I think that I have traditionally valued ease and flavor versus thinking about those things. It's easy enough when it's not on right in front of you and it's just presented as a end product. Yeah. Like I said, like a steak taco. You just eat the taco. It's not, you're not watching that video while you're eating the taco. Yeah. I guess that in itself answers the question. Unfortunately, it's not something I'm proud of, but just in an effort to be authentic, my actions would show that that's my answer.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of how I think about it, and especially, like, clearly you seem like a smart person, you seem like a compassionate person, you seem like a thoughtful person, and I think that's great. That. Like genuinely, I wouldn't say that if I didn't. So it's sort of like, to me, like, if good, intelligent, thoughtful people like you and me don't do this, who's going to? Like, who are we waiting for?
Not a single person. There's no reinforcements coming. I mean, and I think even with that question being asked, it's interesting to think and intriguing, and also really cool to think that someone that like yourself 2 years ago were you eating meat 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, tons of
yeah. Like, and how old are you?
I'm 36.
36. So 34 years of life, like eating meat, contributing to that, and like, did you know like what you're doing or like really think about it or care?
Like 1 or 2 times I saw little things here and there and I just kind of ignored them after that. But yeah.
Because you eat it and it's not right there in front of you, and it's easy enough to just eat the product. Like I said, to eat the steak taco because it's right there, it tastes good. But it's interesting to think that someone that was 34, spent 34 years of life in that lifestyle, educated themselves, and is 2 years later, I'm assuming vegan.
Yes.
I think that's a safe assumption.
That would be a plot twist.
Right. No, I'm actually fully carnivorous diet now.
I work for Tyson, actually.
No. Yeah, you're about to get fired then. But I mean, it's interesting to think that turnaround and now out here and maybe making another vegan.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do.
It's really cool to think about. I think it's really cool what you're doing, and I think that you're right. I think that people don't know. Like we said, you didn't know, so you're a testament to that. I'm a testament to that. I'm 21 years old.
Oh, nice.
So
that's great. That's great that you're already this thoughtful and stuff at 21. I mean, I was an idiot at 21, so you're ahead of me for sure.
I'm trying. I'm trying, and I appreciate what you said. I do like to think that I am some of those qualities that you mentioned, or at least try to be. It is thought-provoking, and it is something that you're right. There's going to be a change made. It's going to come from, like, I can't go away from this interview, continue to make meat-eating choices to put them under an umbrella, almost in good conscience. So now I don't have the excuse of ignorance, which is interesting, and I don't know if I did before, but now even less so. This is almost kind of like almost feels like kind of like a turning point. And you're right, you brought up some good points. It's got me thinking for sure. I'm gonna be thinking about this for a little while.
Well, I think you can do it, man. I really do.
No,
it's like, yeah, right. It's not as hard as you think.
All right, just this is a question. I'm gonna turn it back to you.
Yeah, sure.
Here, let me hold this.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna turn it back to you. And for these people out here, what I'm thinking right now, my thought process to tell you is, okay, I know what I should do, but I also know where I'm gonna be tonight. And I like hot dog tastes good. I think a vegan might even, well, maybe you don't like hot dogs, but a hamburger.
No, I mean, I didn't stop eating meat because I didn't like the taste.
Right. I mean, it tastes good, and so it's not the question. But I'm thinking, okay, well, what would I eat that tastes good? Because when I think that maybe you don't think this, but when I think vegan, I think, okay, maybe there's some like weird foods. Maybe I'm gonna have to eat like quinoa or salad, and that's sure that comes out of like ignorance, absolutely. But it's something I haven't experienced, haven't made an effort to experience, so I don't know. Like, what would you recommend as almost substitutions? What would you say are some of your go-to tasty meals, healthy meals, whatever you want to say that you think are practical replacements that I can learn and maybe these people can learn?
I eat oatmeal in the morning, so oatmeal with maybe some nuts on it, maple syrup, frozen fruit. Sometimes I'll put on like hemp seeds, pistachios, cashews, whatever. Mix that in there, some yogurt. That's what I like. I'll tell you something even more insane. A big reason I didn't want to go vegan was because I didn't think I would be able to get enough protein. And I was like, oh, an oatmeal with like this and that, if that's what I'm eating all day, like that's not enough protein. Like that's a myth largely. You can get plenty of protein from plants. And so that's one thing. You can make those just in mass and like eat them throughout the week. You can also eat cereal. There's tons of vegan cereal and vegan milk, you know. So like those standards, like you can just eat regardless for breakfast. You know, I don't know what you normally eat for breakfast. Like
I often don't eat breakfast when I do, maybe like cereal or something.
So you can still eat cereal. There's still vegan cereals and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a good time to intercept me on the street and have this conversation, because I'm a junior right now and I'm going to be in Richmond this summer for an internship, living by myself, and then after college living by myself for like a job is the way where I see myself. And that's gonna be the first time I think I'm really like actively cooking for myself every meal, and so I definitely have more say in what I'm eating. Not that I don't have a say now.
So we just got cut out. We were talking about like practical things like foods you can eat. We were talking about oatmeal, cereal,
breaking down some myths.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty of protein in plants. There of course are a bunch of substitutes. There are plant-based burgers now. Even if you go into Target,
I love bean burgers.
There you go. Well, there's bean burgers, but there's also like things like Beyond Impossible. Some of them replicate the taste quite well. It depends on your taste buds. Some people think some are good, some people think others are good. There's also like a ton of now breakfast sausages. All the places do breakfast sausages. The one thing they really do well is chicken nuggets. There's like 50 plant-based chicken nuggets. Like one of them will be delicious. My girlfriend like has like 2 or 3 brands that she likes more than the actual chicken nuggets she used to eat.
So like, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, there's lots of stuff.
I can see it. I believe it.
Yeah. Maybe would you be willing? I could give you a sort of resource, and it would kind of help you to go vegan. There's like a place called Challenge 22, Vegan Bootcamp.
I'm open to whatever.
All that stuff.
Like I said, I'm gonna be cooking for myself.
Awesome. Scan that QR code for me, So that's my YouTube channel. If you scroll down, these are all my social medias. If you have any questions, you can shoot me a message on Instagram. And then these are kind of places I would recommend. So this is sort of what we do to animals. This, if you really want to reinforce the why to do this, watch that. You don't have to watch the whole thing. It's really hard to watch, but it really will enforce it for you.
Yeah, a reminder for sure.
Yeah, exactly. This is a practical way to actually how to integrate foods and like why it's important also. It's like a 22-day sign up basically. They kind of walk you through, and you even have a personalized mentor you can call at any time if you have questions about exactly what you want to eat or how to eat or things like that. And then this is the big swing here. If you do get into it, you think this is something you're passionate about, there is ways to become active for the animals as well. Yeah.
I think that's great, and I think there's great substitutes, and I think it ultimately is the future. So I think, like it or not, hop on the train.
There you go. That's a good place to cut it.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed this video and want to help me make this my full-time career, check out my Patreon in the description. And shout out to Ryan O'Neill, Tom Eisenweiss, Nut Based News, and Matthew Lara.